Good evening. More than 10,000 protesters have defied strict police orders to take part in a powerful anti-racism rally, the likes of which we've never seen before. Health authorities say lives have been put at risk, but no fines were handed out today despite the large-scale blatant breach of lockdown orders.
Governments, police, medical authorities pleaded with them not to do it.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
But they were defiant, risking their health and the health of other Victorians for their cause.
This is a much bigger problem than a few hundred people dying from coronavirus.
You know, I'm willing to risk my health so that another black person isn't killed in custody.
If I get sick and die, I get sick and die. Sooner or later, you've got to leave the world.
Most did wear masks.
I've got the mask on the kids and I think it's a worthy cause to come out for.
Some even had personal face shields. Hand sanitiser was offered. Most tried social distancing, but clearly in such numbers it was often impossible.
Do you know, I'm 73. They've been telling me not to come to a lot of things for over 50 years.
The protest started at Parliament. A huge police presence protected the building. Officers themselves protected by masks, social distancing and the mounted branch. Protesters furious at the 432 Aboriginal deaths in custody since 1991.
Australia and the US are both violent, colonial, racist regimes built on the genocide of Indigenous people.
Australia's national anthem is a disgrace. Advance Australia fair. When's this going to take place?
Australia is not the United States, but Australia does have its own long, dark, brutal past of oppression.
In the crowd, Australian basketball legend Liz Cambridge, who had posted earlier on social media.
It's not going to turn into a riot because we're keeping it respectful, please.
And here, to try to keep the peace, the salvos.
People are social distancing as best they can. I think it's really quite remarkable. Yeah, it makes me proud to be Melburnian, actually.
The protesters say it's an indictment on our society that it takes the death of an African American thousands of kilometres away to put the spotlight on racism here. As they marched, no sign of extremists police feared would trigger violence. Outside Flinders Street Station, a traditional smoking ceremony.
Racism's been longer than COVID-19, that's for sure.
Now, for health authorities, a nervous wait to see if this will trigger a coronavirus cluster.
This is a life and death situation for black people, so yeah, I'm willing to take the risk.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
Let's bring in Cameron Bowe at Flinders Street Station, where the protest is just wrapping up. And Cam, what are police saying about the actions of demonstrators?
Mike, police have said that they're generally pleased with the behaviour of those who took part in this action today. It was an unlawful action, but it was a peaceful action. No arrests were made, but there will be some follow-up made by police in this situation. There was some obvious and gross breaches of the social distancing rules. Thousands of people jammed side by side through the streets, but not one protester has been given a fine for those breaches of social distancing rules. That may change given the outcome of the police investigation into this protest rally today. We do know, though, that the organisers of this protest rally will be fined, Mike.
Cam, thank you. Cam Bowe. Tensions flared in Sydney, where the Court of Appeal declared protests legal just minutes before the scheduled start.
This march is authorised. It's authorised.
There was anger before police removed one man holding a sign that read, "All Lives Matter." Protesters took a knee at 4:32 to commemorate 432 Aboriginal deaths in custody. In Brisbane, 30,000 people defied social distancing rules, standing shoulder to shoulder in the streets. Police officers handed out face masks before members of the crowd took to their knees in a sign of solidarity. And there were large crowds in Adelaide as a sea of red, yellow and black moved through city streets. Most demonstrators wore masks after police gave the crowd a special exemption from restrictions.
Good evening. More than 10,000 people have marched through Melbourne CBD, rallying in a peaceful show of solidarity for the Black Lives Matter movement. Despite pleas to stay home, protesters vented their anger at police, but no arrests were made. Dougal Beattie begins our coverage.
A defiant march through the city centre. More than 10,000 Victorians united and demanding change.
We've had family and friends dying in custody. It's not fair.
Masked but refusing to be silenced.
No justice, no peace!
The demonstrators had been threatened with fines and arrests, all amid the risk of coronavirus.
I'm willing to risk my health so that another black person isn't killed in custody.
Protesters shoulder to shoulder as they walk down Bourke Street, they're kneeling, a symbol of racial injustice. Demonstrators venting their anger and frustration at police, calling on officers to show solidarity. Despite orders to stay home in the middle of a pandemic, protesters turned out in their thousands for a movement sweeping the world. Though urged to maintain social distance, the crowd funneled together down city streets, shrugging off fears of COVID-19.
The virus doesn't discriminate, but the cops do. So.
Police weren't taking any chances either. Hundreds of officers monitored a crowd outside State Parliament as speakers remembered more than 430 Indigenous lives lost in police custody over the past 3 decades.
It took the murder of George Floyd, an African-American man, to put the spotlight on Australia's shame.
Then pausing for a minute's silence. From all walks of life they came, children also joining in the historic walk, the crowd calling for equality following hundreds of years of black oppression.
This is for my children's future.
What's clear from today is that this is only the beginning of a new wave of momentum given what's happening overseas. Protesters say they won't give up until they secure a treaty for Indigenous people.
As the numbers swelled, organisers did their best to keep the risk to a minimum, handing out masks and hand sanitizer. The demonstration peaceful, no sign of violence or any acts to provoke the crowd or police. Outside Flinders Street Station,
Black Lives Matter!
a smoking ceremony as thousands gathered once again, the march ending as it had began, peacefully. Dougal Beattie, 9 News.
And to some breaking news now. Organisers will be fined for breaching coronavirus restrictions. Eliza Rugg is in the city tonight. Eliza, they'll be forced to fork out thousands of dollars.
Alicia, Victoria Police has confirmed it will be sending out fines to the organisers of today's protest, $1,600 fines, and more people here today could also be fined after an investigation. The crowd of 10,000 has started dispersing here at Flinders Street. Police are sort of moving in from the sidelines to make sure that that is done safely, but the tram network around Flinders Street has effectively been shut down for now. This has turned into more of a party atmosphere. Protesters say they will be here well into the night.
OK, Eliza, thank you. Well, the rally cries were echoed across the country. In Brisbane, 30,000 people marched through the inner city demanding justice for Indigenous Australians. There was a moving moment when the swell of protesters paused and got down on one knee outside a police station after demanding the area commander come outside and fly the Aboriginal flag. While Adelaide CBD was shut down by activists who filled large parts of Victoria Square, police gave special permission for the event to go ahead there despite COVID-19 restrictions. The passionate but peaceful crowd marched across the city with organisers overwhelmed by the turnout.